Okay. Again, good afternoon to everyone, and we're recording our discussion this afternoon. At first, I would like to show to you our Google Classroom. Again, hindi na raw po natin magagamit yung Moodle, kaya yung ating examination that will be next week po for the prelim exam, gagamitin po natin yung oras natin from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. And then, of course, yung coverage po ng ating exam, paki-study po yung modules 1, yan, lahat po ng Module 1, Module 1.1 to Module 1.6. Alright, so magdi-discuss ako ng about relations and functions. Then siguro i-touch ko din yung Pascal Triangle kasi kasama po yan sa ating exam. Yung knapsack problem naman at saka characteristic function, kasama na po yun sa diniscuss ko last week para po sa ating drill problem number 2. And then, aside from our prelim exam next week, nag-upload po ako ng another drill problem number 3. Yung drill problem number 3, madali lang. So, drill problem number 3 is just a continuation ng previous drill problem. Kukunin mo lang yung characteristic function given the set of B and A. Ayan, for the given subset. And then, isosolve mo lang yung knapsack problem using the standard gray code. Remember, tinuro ko na sa inyo kung paano po mag-compute ng knapsack problem using the standard gray code. So, you could rewatch our recorded discussion last week. Then, ito lang po yung kailangan natin gawin for drill problem number 3. Kasi you'll be having your prelim exam next week. So, I also would like you to focus on that. So, kasama ito sa ating prelim exam. Kaya parang practice nyo na rin yung characteristic function and knapsack problem. Alright. Yung i-discuss ko this afternoon is somewhat part pa din naman ng prelim exam, pero it will form part na sa ating midterm examination. So I'll be discussing to you about relations and functions. And then sabi ko nga, i-touch ko ng konti yung sa Pascal Triangle kasi sa inyong prelim exam, gagawa kayo ng Pascal Triangle. So open ko na din yung Pascal Triangle. Alright. And then, alright, so discuss ko na muna itong Module 1. So basically, relations and functions yung ating pag-aaralan this afternoon. Let's define. A relation is basically a set of ordered pairs. So ano po bang ibig sabihin ng ordered pairs? Kung dati, sanay tayo na yung element natin is just separated by comma. Pag sinabing ordered pair, so meron na tayong dalawang elements na magkasama na naka-enclose sa open and close parenthesis. And then, meron pa uli siyang karuktong na another ordered pair, which is also separated by comma and enclosed by open and close parenthesis. Again, since ito po ay part pa rin po ng set, para po malagay siya sa isang set, kailangan po ulit natin ng open and close curly braces. So, ang tawag po dito ay relation. Ayan. Yung domain naman is the set of all x values in the relation. Ayan. Siyempre, itong 2, negative 1, 4, 9 at saka 0, ito yung ating x value. At tinatawag natin yung ating x value as domain. So kapag sinabi ko sa inyo, can you give to me the list of the elements of the domain from the provided set of ordered pairs? So this will be the answer kung ito yung given. Okay. So normally po, when we put our elements, we usually follow a sequence. So we start of course with the lowest value, kaya nag-start tayo ng negative 1, and then 0, and then 2, and then 4, and then 9. So the x values written in a set from smallest to largest. Ano naman po, Sir Caldo, yung range? So range naman is the set of all y's in the relation. So we're now talking about here 3, 5, negative 2, 9, and then negative 6. Similarly, kapag tinanong ko sa inyo, can you give me the y values or the range of the set of ordered pairs? So isusulat uli natin from smallest to largest, and then from the given ordered pairs, ang atin pong range ay from -6, -2, 3, 5, and then 9. So, madali lang po. Now that we have the domain and the range, pwede po natin siyang i-list similar to this one. So example, meron po tayo dito na set of all x's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the set of all y's, so we have 2, 4, 6, 8, and then 10. Tandaan natin that a relation assigns the x's with y's. Yan. So inassign natin si x is equal to 1, to y is equal to 6. Ganon din 2, 2, and then 3, 4, 4, 8, and then 5, 10. So this relation can be written as 1 and then comma 6 yung kanina kong tinuro. Then we have 2 and then 2, 3 and then 4, 4 and then 8 and then 5 and then 10. Alright, so eto na yung relation natin kapag naman binigyan tayo ng set of x's and then the set of y's. Ano naman yung function? So a function f from set A to set P is a rule of correspondence that assigns to each element x in the set of A exactly one element y in the set B. So, ano po bang ibig sabihin ng statement na yon? So, tingnan natin visually para mas ma-appreciate po natin. Example again, we have set of A as the domain and the set of B as the range. So, ang rule number 1 po natin, kailangan lahat po ng excess natin ay gamitin natin. Ibig sabihin, merong assignment lahat ng domain natin relative sa range. Ayan. The x value can only be assigned to one y. So, tandaan natin na hindi po pwede na yung ating excess ay naka-assign to multiple values of y. Dapat isa lamang po ang assignment natin for each domain. Example, so we have var 1 assigned to 4, 4 to 8, 2 to 2, 5 to 6, and then 3 to 10. Since ang lahat po ng excess ay inassign natin, and then lahat po ng x ay naka-assign natin to only one y, therefore, this is a function. Kasi na-meet niya lahat ng conditions po natin. Right. Kasi may mga questions like, can you tell me if this relationship between the domain and the range is an example of a function or not? So, kailangan alam po natin yung rule in order for us to determine whether siya po ay function or not. So, again, we have the two main rules. Dapat lahat po ng excess natin merong assignment relative to y. At kung inassign na po natin si x relative to y, dapat wala pong 2 or more assignments si x's sa y's. So, let's look at another relation and decide if this is a function. So, yung y, naka-assign sa 4, 3 sa 4, 4 sa 4, 2 to 4, 5 to 4, and then 3 to 4. O, na-notice natin, lahat ng domain natin naka-assign only to one value of y. Ngayon, na-meet pa rin po ba yung ating rule? So, na-meet natin, lahat ng excess natin ay na-assign, di ba? Tama? And then, na-meet din naman natin na yung x natin ay naka-assign lamang sa isang value ng y. Hindi naman po inassign yung 1 sa 2 or more values ng y. Nagkataon lang na pare-pareho ng assignment yung lahat ng domain po natin. So therefore, this is still a function. Alright? A good example that you can relate to is students in our discrete mathematics class this semester. So halimbawa, kayo yung 25 estudyante ko, di ba? So, the grade they earn out of the class is set B. So, ito kayo, 25 students ko, and then ito yung mga possibility na makuha mong grade sa akin. Each student must be assigned a grade and can only be assigned one grade, di ba? Pwede kitang bigyan ng 1, pwede kitang bigyan ng 2, bigyan ng 3, bigyan ng 5, wag naman. but more than one student can get the same grade. Siyempre, yung gusto natin, lahat tayo makakuha ng flat 1. Gusto nyo ba ng 1? Ayan, parang ayaw naman ng mga estudyante ko. So, pwede naman, generous naman ako magbigay ng 5 kung ayaw natin. Ayan. So, ibig sabihin lang po nito, kayong lahat ng estudyante, pwede kayong ma-assign na ng any grade. 'Di ba? Pero hindi pwede na dalawa yung grade po natin. Dapat isa lang po yung final grade natin. So, this is an example. Similar to what I have mentioned earlier. Ayan. Tingnan nyo, si student number 2 may dalawang assignment. Pag inassign mo siya sa 4 at saka sa 10, hindi na natin alam ngayon yung kanyang final grade. So therefore, is the relation shown above a function? Definitely no. Ayan. Kasi nga, dapat isa lang po yung grade ng bawat estudyante. Alright? So, naintindihan po natin. Very basic. Kasi yung rule natin, we can only be assigned one grade. Yung 2 natin was assigned both 4 and then 10. Right? Yan, hinighlight ko para mas ma-visualize natin. So let's check another example. And let's determine if it is a function. So 1 inassign sa 6, 4 sa 4, 2 sa 2, 5 sa 10. Ayan. Pero yung 3, walang any assignment. Ayan. Comparing to our example, a student in math must receive a grade. Siyempre, lahat naman ng estudyante dapat merong grade. Halimbawa, isang estudyante ko sa inyo walang grade, so hindi pa rin siya function. Kasi dapat bawat domain ay merong assignment. Alright? So clear na po yung distinction between a function and not a function. We also understood the concept of domain and the range. Alright? So this is another example. Ayan. Si 2 at saka si 3 pareho ng grade. Si 1, si 4 at si 5 iba naman yung grade. Ayan. So it's fine. So pwede po na pareho ng grade yung mga estudyante ko. Pwede pong kalahati yung bumagsak, kalahati yung flat 1, or lahat po ay flat 1, or lahat po ay failed. Wag naman. Yan. Ngayon, pag-aralan naman natin yung function notation. So this is very common to us kasi lahat naman tayong engineers dumaan ng algebra, 'di ba? So that's very basic. So we commonly call functions by letters. Because function starts with F, it is a commonly used letter to refer to function. So, 'di ba alam natin that we call this one as function of x. Syempre, x could be any variable. But in this example, ginamit lang po natin yung x as our main variable for getting the function. So we are given 2x squared minus 3x plus 6. Yung left-hand side of this equation is the function notation. Ito yon, tawag dito function notation. So it tells us two things. We call the function f and the variable in the function is x. Ayan. So this means the right-hand side is a function called f, as I have said. And then yung x naman, this means the right-hand side has the variable x in it. And the left side does not mean f times x like brackets usually do. It simply tells us what is on the right-hand side. For this example, ayan, we have a function called f that has the variable x in it, and using function notation, we could then ask the following. So, halimbawa, pinapahanap po sa atin yung function of 2. So, meaning to say, we have the function of x, we just have to substitute x with the value of 2. So, direct substitution lang. So, when we do that, we just have to substitute yung mga values po natin ng x ng given input value which is equal to 2. Then, syempre, using our mathematics, we just have to compute that. Ayan. But don't forget again, our MDAS rule. So, we follow the powers muna, then the multiplication, finally addition, and the subtraction. So, when we do that, of course, 2 raised to 2 will give us 4. And then, when we multiply 4 by 2, of course, it will give us 8. And then 3 times will give us 6. And then of course plus 6. 8 minus 6 plus 6 will give us 8. So direct substitution and very basic lang naman. Kapag binigyan tayo ng negative 2, syempre kailangan alam po natin yung rule natin when we use negative value. So similarly, when we substitute, start uli muna tayo with the power. If that's the case, negative 2 times negative 2 will give us 4. And then of course, we multiply it by 2. And then we get 8. And then negative 3 times negative 2 will give us positive 6 and then plus 6. So 8 plus 6 plus 6 will give us 20 for the function of negative 2. Again, direct substitution. Kapag binigyan naman tayo ng variable to represent x, so we just have to substitute again x with a variable k. If that's the case, magiging 2k square minus 3k plus 6. So, simply, pinaltan lang po natin si x ng variable k. Right. Siyempre, pag binigyan kita ng function of 2k, yung lahat ng x's po natin, papalitan natin ng 2k. Following our rule, unahin uli muna po natin yung square. So, 2k square will give us 4k square. Then, ita-times natin by 2, it will give us 8k square. And then minus 6k, following negative 3 times 2k, and then plus 6. Alright, so of course, that's the output. Kasi hindi naman natin kailangan kuhanin yung constant kasi we have variables in it. Let's try a new function. So this time, ginamitan natin ng variable g as function relative to x. And then ang goal natin is kuhanin natin muna, substitute daw natin si 1 sa variable x, and then we also substitute x with the value of negative 4, and then we get the summation. So syempre, unahin mo muna yung g sub 1. So when we get the g sub 1, so that is 1 square minus 2 times 1, and it will give us negative 1. And then after we get the g sub negative 4, it will give us negative 4 square minus 2 times negative 4, and it will give us a value of 24. Now, nakuha na natin yung g sub 1 and g to the negative 4, pwede na po natin makuha yung kanilang summation. So, negative 1 plus 24 will simply give us 23. So, very easy. The last thing that we need to learn about functions for this section is something about their domain. Recall that domains meant set A, which is the set of values to plug in for x. Diba? For the functions, we will be dealing with that there are two illegals. Tandaan mo, number 1, you can't divide by 0. Denominator or bottom of a fraction can't be 0. You also can't divide the square root or even root of a negative number. And then when you are asked to find the domain of a function, you can use any value for x as long as the value won't create an illegal situation. Naalala niyo yung pinag-aralan natin na set builder notation? So we could also apply that in function provided that we understood ano po ba yung mga illegals, ano mga values po ba yung not allowed, especially kapag gagamit tayo ng fraction or will be using the square root. So kailangan alam po natin yung rule. Example, we are tasked to find the domain for the following functions. Ayan. Since no matter what value you choose for x, you won't be dividing by 0 or square rooting a negative number, you can use anything you want. So we say that the answer is all real numbers x. Tama? Kasi lahat naman ng real number po ay pwede natin gamitin to substitute for the variable x. Kasi wala naman po siyang mababiolate na any illegal value. Alright. Kahit na gamitin mo sa x yung 0, gamitin mo sa x yung negative 1, so still okay pa rin naman po yung ating function of x. How about this example? So we are given g sub x, and then this time we are now using fraction. So yung g sub x is equal to x plus 3 all over x minus 2. If you choose x is equal to 2, the denominator will be 2 minus 2 is equal to 0, di ba? Which is illegal following our rule na we cannot divide by 0. So therefore, para ma-address po natin yung concern na to, all real numbers of x is allowed provided that x is not equal to 2. Ibig sabihin, pwede dito yung negative 1, pwede dito yung 0, pwede dito yung 1, pwede dito yung 3, pero hindi pwede yung x is equal to 2. Ayan. So let's find naman the domain of another one. So this time we're using square root for function of x relative to variable h. So we have to be careful what excess we use so that the second illegal of square rooting a negative doesn't happen. This means the stuff under the square root must be greater than or equal to 0. So dapat hindi maging negative yung ating output. If that's the case, dapat ang i-allow lang po natin all real numbers of x such that the value of x is greater than 4. So, ibig sabihin ng greater than 4, so all values beyond 4, meron pwedeng 5. Diba? Kasi 5 minus 4 will give us 1. Pwedeng 6, 7, 8, 9 onwards. Basta dapat yung value ng x natin should be greater than 4 para hindi po natin ma-violate yung pagkuha ng negative at saka ng 0 sa square root. So this is basically the summary of how to find the domain of a function. Again, we need to look for any fractions or square roots that could cause one of the two illegals to happen. If there aren't any, then the domain is all real numbers of x. Alright? If there are fractions, figure out what values would make the bottom equal to 0, and those are the values you can't use. The answer would be all real numbers x such that x not equal to those values. If there is a square root, the stuff under the square root cannot be negative, so set the stuff greater than or equal to 0 and then solve. Then answer would be all real numbers of x such that x is not equal to whatever you got when you solve. Of course, our variable doesn't have to be x. It can be whatever is in the problem. Kanina naman nagpakita tayo ng example aside from the variable of x. Alright, so now I would like to share to you about the Pascal triangle. So basically, these are just some of the theories that we needed to understand about Pascal triangle. So on May 22, 1649, Blaise Pascal was granted a royal privilege for the manufacture and sale of a calculating machine. And in 1654, Pascal completed the treatise on the arithmetic triangle. So yung Pascal triangle kasi natin or also term as arithmetic triangle, si Blaise Pascal po yung main author nito. So, combinatorics is basically the science of counting. A form of this word was used first by Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz from 1646 to 1716 in the title of his dissertation on the art of combinations, which was published in 1666. Ayan. So, ito yung example ng arithmetic triangle. Alright? Pero in our case, gagamitin po natin is of course the Pascal triangle. So this is how you draw the Pascal triangle. Siyempre, nakikita nyo po dito, we have a lot of levels, alright? So from level, where's my mouse? Yan, from level 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Similar to our binary tree, kung naalala nyo yung ginawa natin for the full binary tree. Pero this time, makikita nyo yung top ng ating Pascal triangle, ng top ng pyramid natin, is always 1. So we always start here with 1, alright? And then, basically, we put ones and ones here. So sa pagdodrawing po natin ng Pascal triangle, 1, 1, and 1 here. And then, we simply have to add. Ayan, so dito sa side na to 1, and then 1 plus 1 will give us 2. Kaya naging 2 po ito. Then 1 plus 2 will give us 3. 2 plus 1 will give us 3. 1 plus 3 will give us 4. 3 plus 3 will give us 6. 3 plus 1 will give us 4. 4 plus 1 will give us 5. 6 plus 4 is 10, 4 plus 6 is 10, 1 plus 4 is 5, and so on. Depende kung how many levels po yung ipapagawa po sa atin. Again, this is level 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So pag pinagawa kita ng up to 9 level or n is equal to 9, dapat hanggang dito yung idodrawing mo. Pag sinabi ko na up to 8, hanggang dito yung idodrawing natin na Pascal triangle. Alright. Ngayon, halimbawa, tinanong ko sa'yo, what is the fourth row of the Pascal triangle? So, titingnan natin yung fourth row natin. So, in the example, so we have here the fourth row, ito, yung 0, 4, and then 1, and then 4, 2, and then 4. Hanapin nyo po ito para hindi po tayo ma-confuse. So we have to look for this one. We have to look for the value of 1, 4, 6, 4, 1. Ito po yan, 1, 4, 6, 4, and then 1. Diba? Remember, we have here, ba yung mouse ko? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So, ito yung ating fourth level. So, pag hinanap sa yung fourth level, at placement ng 0 relative to our n is equal to 4, ang value niya is 1. And then this one is from 1, of course, yung ating n is equal to 4 pa din, the output is 4 for the binomial coefficient. And then 2, kapag naman 2 na po, syempre yung n pa rin natin ay 4, then the output is 6. Followed by 4 and then followed by 1. Again, we always start with 0. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3, and then 4. Alright, so ganun lang po yung pagkuha ng ating Pascal triangle. Halimbawa, tinanong ko sa inyo, find the binomial coefficient. Ayan, so ito yung ating row. Ito yung value ng ating Pascal triangle, the level. Ang level natin ay 8. So, hanapin mo dito yung level 8. And then, dapat number 4. So, when we count 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, then the value is, of course, 70. So, that is how we compute for the binomial coefficient. Again, maaring maging type ng ating exam is magdodrawing ka ng Pascal triangle, you get the entries of the row, and then you also get the binomial coefficient. Alright, so stop ko muna yung recording, then I'll entertain questions from the body if meron po tayong tanong. Okay, stop ko muna, save.